Welcome, everybody. We know that tonight is a big, exciting night for many of you. As you know, there are only 3 winners, but that doesn't mean that those designs that didn't win can't be submitted elsewhere very successfully. I use swatches in 2 different ways. Sometimes I'll have an idea of what I want to do. I'll have a silhouette and I'll have an idea of what kind of stitch patterns I want to use. Sometimes, though, the swatch itself informs the design and informs the silhouette. So just by swatching, sometimes I'll get ideas about what kinds of things I want to design.
I'm using swatches a little bit different from Joan. So you can see the upper left corner, and that is inspirational picture. And then I write the chart and then knit swatches from it. We are influenced by what do we see in our daily life. We want you to see the same way we do.
Yes, and so, Mari has a lot of architecture. She's looking at street fashion. It doesn't just have to be fashion that you're looking at. It could be lines, it could be nature, it could be people. So whatever you see, that inspires you. We're going to show you a few examples from recent design calls from publications. Inspiration is usually given for your submissions in narrative form, but also through mood boards. So let's take a look at those. So you can see that in their mood board, they have a definite aesthetic going on. It's very abstract, it's very geometric. It usually comes up to say, do you have to swatch in that palette? And the answer is no, you don't. But sometimes it helps. It helps their vision.
I usually knit a swatch by light color. So maybe if I try to knit this one, I use like a pink, beige, that kind of color. See the stitch very well, yeah.
Right, you want them to see the stitch pattern, you want them to see the stitch definition. So you don't want to go too dark with anything.
Okay, this is my submission form for Knit Picks Cable Collection 2021 to 22. They ask us to submit 1 page. So that's the whole thing in 1 page.
Most of the time they want your submission on 1 page, and that can be difficult to do. In my submission, which was for Vogue Knitting 2017, spring, summer, and early fall, it was 1 call that was combined. There you can see my sketch, my swatch, and I include information about the swatch, what yarn I used, what needle size I used, and what gauge I got, to give them just a little bit of an idea of what it would look like in that yarn. So one thing I want to say about this, I submitted it for spring, summer, early fall 2017. However, they did not contact me about this design until they wanted it for spring, summer 2018. So I had just left it with them and kind of forgotten it. So I just, they called me the following year and said, we'd like to use this for spring, summer 2018. Can you get it done for us? So how long do you wait? So in my case, you just saw I waited a year to hear anything. But if you have a design, you really want to get it out there to somebody else and it fits another call, I would say 4 to 6 weeks. Mari, would you agree with that? 4 to 6 weeks is...
Yeah, it's the average, yeah.
But just because someone doesn't take your design doesn't mean it's not a good design. Maybe they don't want to use the yarn that you use, they can't fit in, they need a heavier or lighter weight. There's so many reasons. Mari and I, when we were putting this presentation together, started talking about what we do when we hear back from publications. Obviously, if you're accepted, you say woohoo and like tell me the details. But if you're rejected, we both discovered that we write to the publication and we say, thanks for getting back to us. We both think that that's the professional thing to do. And it also keeps our name in their head. Just to show you that rejection is real. We both have 2 recent rejections, but again, you can always shop that to someone else if it's a great, strong design, or self-publish, or do what you feel you need to do to get it out there. So when you're accepted, you'll get the contract, and the contract will have everything in it, everything that you need to know. So this is, you're going to watch it transform into what was published, and it was published in the spring, summer of 2018.
Okay, this is my piece. I'm gonna turn to this one. Now I think I'm pretty happy as my design is.
And that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. So we thank Mari and Joan for that wonderful walk through all the things that we as designers have to go through. It is very real. So now I just want to say that we are coming to the part of the presentation where everybody has worked so hard and everybody wants to know, like, who won, and you all won. That's the key. Everyone has learned, I've learned, and this is my 6th DAL, and each one of them has just been remarkable. And just watching the range of creativity is always just so inspiring. And so now the judges have spoken, and we are just going to show you who were selected as the winners in each of the categories for the $1,000, as well as for having their pieces published in Vogue Knitting. We had in the cables category Fuyumi Ambe, and then in the color category we have Imbal Gross, and then we had Christine Jones for lace. Christine is from Australia, Fuyumi is from Japan, and Imbal is from Israel. So we have 3 international winners, and it just shows the reach of this amazing art. We've all had a good time, and we'll continue to have a good time for the next 2 weeks. And so it's all fun for us.